Tom is in Atlanta. Hey, Tom, your question for Pat and me.
Hey, Dave. My question is why do I end up letting go half of my people, 50%? They're not team players. They lack technical or human skills, the emotional intelligence that Pat brought up. We also, part of my question is, we look for hungry, humble, and smart, but I can't seem to get the smart part down. They're qualified. I give them the Myers-Briggs test. They score great. The DISC test, working genius test. I even got certified as a working genius coach. And I hire these guys. I vet them. We interview them. And then 2 or 3 months later, it's like, what have I done?
Wow. Well, I want to sit down and spend some time with you to help you figure this one out, Tom. But I think there might be, I'm going to channel some Dave Ramsey here, and there might just be some inconsistencies about the way you're interviewing people and the way you're managing them. In other words, because if you're doing all those things and you're vetting them, and good for you, but if that many of them aren't working out, I don't think it's the vetting. I think it might be the reality of what's happening once they start there. But I don't say that. I don't say that glibly. I want to help you figure this out.
So, what kind of industry are you in?
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm a custom home builder and remodeler.
Okay, and how many team members?
Right now, I have 6.
Okay, so you hired like 2 or 3 people that didn't work out.
4.
Oh, okay. This helps me. I was amazingly going into the dozens or hundreds.
Okay, and you had the 4 people were doing construction work or doing office work or what?
Office work.
Okay. Are you in the field with your pickup?
A couple of project managers and a couple of office people.
Okay, are you in the field with the pickup managing the jobs?
No.
You're in the office.
In the office.
So you got custom work going on, and you have superintendents or project managers on each of those jobs physically, and you're not physically on the job.
Correct.
Okay. And so they get there, and they're having relational trouble inside the office because they're not people smart on the hungry, humble, smart model. Is that what you're describing?
That's part of it, but also they're posers. They're not really qualified to do what they're doing. And I ask them questions. We take them out in the field. I let them spend time with the other project managers. Everyone gives them a thumbs up. But when they get down to business, it's like perplexing. Like, what are you doing?
And you're even using the working genius.
Oh yeah.
So but that's different than you're saying they don't have the skill. So you're hiring a project manager that doesn't know how to manage a project.
Yeah, or they don't understand construction as well as they let on. I mean, one thing we try to do is we're using Trainual, and I'm getting all of the positions, and we're doing all kinds of training videos and those types of things with testing. That'll help, but it just seems like an awful lot to go through. It used to be you could just, somebody would come in the door. I've had people that have been referred to me by, other trades that I've known for years, and they're just, I don't know, they're just not, they're not the speed. I'm spending so much time, I think, trying to vet them on the personal side.
How quickly, a new person starts, how quickly do you turn them loose in the wild without training wheels?
Typically, they're with me or with one of the other guys for about 6 weeks.
Are you noticing the problems during those 6 weeks, or is it after that?
No, it's after that. It's when they get let go on their own, and they start doing just really dumb stuff.
Tom, first let me back up a little and say, since this is a relatively small sample, applying the percentages like 50% or whatever else. So you've had a hard time hiring a handful of people and getting them to stick.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's not like you're a 50% failure. It's like you screwed up on 3.
Right.
That's different. I agree with Pat on that. So, because I screw up on 3 a week. So, I mean, that's just, but we're running with larger numbers. But,
sure. Yeah. Three for me is a lot more.
I know.
It's
I'm just saying,
serious problem. But
it's a problem because it carries so much weight percentage-wise inside your organization, but to indicate that somehow what you're doing is 50% off, I don't think that's the indication.
Right.
So I agree with that. So it feels like that when you are walking with them during their training period, you suck.
Yeah.
It feels like
I'm
you're
not
not doing a
holding
good
them
job
accountable.
getting them to do the job the way you want it done. Because we've got like a Ramsey way to do things. So if you come in and do sales and you're a good salesman, that's different than doing sales at Ramsey. And so you're going to walk with one of our salespeople for a little while, and you got to learn the Ramsey way to make that sale. And it took us a while to get good at that. We sucked at it at first. And so we would have salespeople doing sales 5 different ways, and we had all these inconsistencies and different kinds of complaints from different kinds of depending on who their rep was. And so, yeah, somebody can function within their personality, but we've got some core tenets on accounting or some core tenets on project management or some core tenets on sales that if you're going to do it the Ramsey way, if we're going to do it the Tom way, you got to do it this way. And I don't think you're doing a good job of transferring that.
Well, there's 2 things, Dave. One is the actual processes that we use to manage the project, record things, change orders, purchase orders.
They ought to be able to understand that in a week.
They do all that stuff great.
Yeah.
It's the technical knowledge of, this is how a piece of trim is supposed to look. We don't leave drywall looking like that. We cover floors.
That's what I'm talking about.
Just basic.
You're a custom home builder, and you may be hiring somebody in that's built mass homes, and they're not as hard on quality as you are.
You know what's interesting, Tom?
That's it.
Well, so many people would call in and they'd say, I'm hiring these people and their technical skills are so good, but they don't fit on the team and behaviorally. You are so indexed on the behavioral stuff, which is great, but there is a point at which they might not be technically as good as you need. But can I ask you a couple questions, though, Tom?
Sure.
What's your working genius?
Galvanizer and discerner.
Okay. And what is your Myers-Briggs, do you know?
It's not good.
It's not good.
they have that. I didn't know they had that.
There's no such thing.
I didn't know they had that.
There's no such thing. Okay. Well, see, the Myers-Briggs, I use this this company that vets people and gives them a test and that sort of stuff. And I'm looking for, it's all the personality qualities, the blame and honesty and those types of things. And it pretty much gives me they're this percentage of a good hire. Tenacity is my working frustration. So to really get in the weeds, I'm the big cheerleader. I get everybody fired up and it's go time and let's do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you're shocked that they don't know what quality looks like.
That's right.
But his T is down here with mine. So here's the deal, Tom. I want you to feel good about this. What you just need is somebody close to you that has T. Because you have good discernment, but you're like ready to go. Let's go. Yeah, I can see this. Come on. But you can't cheerlead a person who doesn't understand.
You in some cases, what I think I'm hearing is you're the type of guy that wants them to succeed in some cases more than they want to.
Yes, I cast on them what I want them to be. I mean,
exactly.
You said in your book, Dave, that you don't hire people anymore because you're terrible at it, because you spend more time selling them on the company, which I do the same thing. It's like, this is such a great place to work. We're such an awesome team,
Yep, you're right. So my only suggestion is and I'm just looking at this through the practitioner's eyes only, is I'm probably going to change some of my interview questions that you're using. I think you're asking them how many years of construction experience they have, and you're assuming based on that they know how to put up a piece of trim the way it looks in an expensive home, not necessarily a cheap home. And so I'm going to be saying, okay, our values are extreme detail and quality because we're dealing with rich people's houses and they are pissed when things aren't excellent. So how do you feel about that in the construction world? And they go, well, I ain't never done that. I mean, all we did was just put some nails in the board, And that's, you all of a sudden you got a 20-year guy who's not qualified to work for you.
Yeah.
And Tom, I want to say,
there's nobody out there.
I want to say to you, okay, and because like when you came in, you said the 50% stuff, you're probably kind of tough on yourself and you're feeling bad about this. So get rid of that because you've learned stuff. I mean, you've learned stuff in these.
I think you're making more progress than you realize.
Right. So now based on what you've learned, just take that going forward and say, I have to be more tenacious. Hopefully somebody around you can help you with that, about making, you can now check and take somebody into a place of work and say, what do you see here? See if they notice the stuff that the other ones didn't.
Yeah, you've done a fabulous job for a company your size on figuring out the character qualities and the personality pieces of who's going to be involved. I don't think I've ever talked to anybody with 6 or 7 people that does as much assessment as you guys do. That's amazingly good. But probably where you are is reaching over into your values and communicating out of those values what that looks like as on a technical application to do this way. And so, you can't do it the way it's done over at those other places and still call it nail on a board. It doesn't work because we are in a completely different world here.
Hey, I have a question for you, Tom. How long did those people work there before you they left?
So I had a guy that worked for me for 3.5 years, and it just broke my heart. I even gave him 2 months severance. He tried so hard. He did everything right, but he just made bad decisions, and he was insecure, and he was a burden to everybody because he called everybody because he didn't want to call me because he just didn't want to bother me. So finally, I let him go, and then the other guys, one lasted for about after his initial startup and training and everything else, he probably lasted for about 4 or 5 weeks, and then another fella lasted for about 5 or 6 months, and I tried really hard to get him to work out, and then I had a CAD operator, and he just wouldn't engage with anybody ever. It was quiet and just withdrawn. And
how long did that one take to fix?
That one, when I let his direct supervisor go, who was doing estimating and assisting with project management, mostly estimating, I let him go, and then after he left, probably about 3 weeks later, I let the other fellow.
So one thing, congratulations for some of those people moved out quite quickly, because if you made the wrong hire, the worst thing you can do for them and for you is to keep them around for a long time while they're suffering and you're trying to do that. The guy that was there 3.5 years, sounds like you loved on the guy and he's a good person and all that, and you finally realized you just couldn't do it. I think you go forward just with your eyes wide open and learn the things you've learned and realize you're probably, I can't believe I'm saying this, you're probably over-indexing a little bit on the behavioral stuff.
Yeah. I think you're right.
And that's okay.
I've been to 2 summits, and I've listened to what you've said, and I've listened to your stories, and it's like the technical side everybody wants to go to, and they don't want to do the person side. So I think you're right. I think I've overdone it on the personal side. And
that's an easier fix than the other way.
Also, let me just tell you, after having done this for 30 years, hiring people, and at varying degrees of years or violence, they work out or don't work out, right? I mean, it's you're probably a whole lot better at this than you think you are right now. Now that I've talked to you a little while, I do think there's something about the way you're communicating your expectations of how to execute the technical thing that probably could use some work. I think that's probably there. But I think you're probably better overall than you think you are. You're being pretty hard on yourself to Pat's point. But yeah, it is the hardest part of business. Business is easy till people get involved. That's the title of the chapter on hiring and firing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. So I'm not going to tell you it's going to get easier, but you're going to get better at it, and it is going to get easier. And it's not going to rip your heart out as much every single time as it does right now either, because you'll get better at that process too. Not calloused, but just better.